My wife had an affair with a rich second-generation heir. After I caught them in the act, they were humiliated and enraged. They got me drunk and threw me from a high-rise, staging it to look like an accidental fall while intoxicated. Little did they know that not only did I survive, but my soul was reborn in the body of the rich heir's father. From then on, the rich heir became my son, and his alluring mother became my wife. So, using my position as his father, I could legitimately carry out my revenge plan. Jianbing, what are you standing there for? Come to bed. The voice was soft and delicate. I saw a beautiful mature woman lying naturally on the bed, with a stunning figure that could drive any man crazy. I never expected to be reborn, let alone as the father of my wife's lover. This woman before me is the rich heir's mother. Is this heaven's justice? Has the universe given me an opportunity to take revenge on that adulterous couple? My real name is Hai. I'm 26 years old, and I have a beautiful and virtuous wife named Zhao Qilan. We got married right after graduating from university. To provide her with a comfortable life, I work long hours at my job and even deliver food on weekends, braving all kinds of weather. But for the sake of our family and to give my wife a happy life, I don't mind at all. However, I never imagined that while I consider my wife to be everything, she would treat me like worthless grass. On her 25th birthday, I planned to give her a surprise. But when I opened the door, I saw her practicing flower arranging with another man. At that moment, I was furious, my eyes bulging and my whole body shaking. Zhao Qilan, why? With reddened eyes, I rushed forward and pulled Zhao Qilan off the bed, slapping her hard across the face. Then I dragged the adulterer off the bed, punching and kicking him relentlessly, venting my anger. Zhao Qilan covered her cheeks and screamed, Hai, how dare you hit me? I'll fight you to the death. Then she got out of bed, grabbed a folding table nearby, and struck me hard on the back of my head. Instantly, I felt my mind sink, experiencing intense pain and dizziness. Soon, I collapsed to the ground, losing consciousness. When I woke up, it was from cold water being splashed on me, the freezing sensation making my whole body uncomfortable. Seeing Zhao Qilan and Qiao Yifan intimately arm in arm, my heart felt like it was being pierced by countless steel needles. Why? Why did you betray me? Haven't I been good enough to you all these years? Zhao Qilan laughed as if she had heard a joke. This was entirely your own wishful thinking. I never forced you to be good to me. As for betrayal, I never liked you in the first place, so how can there be any talk of betrayal? The person I've always loved in my heart is Yifan, not you. My heart clenched. You never liked me? Then why did you marry me in the first PLA? See? At this moment, the rich second-generation Qiao Yifan said with a smile. Why did I marry you? That's because my surname is Qiao. I was emulating my ancestor Qiao Qiao's practice of marrying good men's wives. I originally planned to keep it a secret. Not only did I want to fool around with your wife, but I also wanted you to raise my son. I didn't expect you to find out so quickly. My heart felt like it was being twisted by a knife. All these years, I had been nothing but a plaything in their flirtation, a tool to satisfy Qiao Yifan's perverse fetish. She never had even a shred of feeling for me. Afterwards, they kept verbally humiliating me, and even wanted to have a passionate encounter right in front of me. They probably saw the hatred in my eyes, so they forcibly got me drunk, then pushed me directly from the 20th floor, fabricating the appearance of a drunken fall. I was smashed into a pulp. I originally thought that I would never be able to get revenge in this life, but unexpectedly, heaven gave me a chance to be reborn. And I was even reborn as the father of the adulterer Qiao Yifan. This identity could not be more satisfying. I secretly vowed that I would definitely make those two dogs pay the price. Time returns to the present, as I look at Qiao Yifan's mother on the bed. Her name was Lu Mei, Qiao Jianbang's first wife and Qiao Yifan's biological mother. In her early 40s, due to her affluent background, Lu Mei often had plenty of time to take care of herself. Her skin was like a baby's, and I would have believed it if someone said she wasn't even 30. A bold idea welled up in my mind, so I walked straight to the bed, my face expressionless. Jianbing, what are you doing? What do you think? I said with a smile forming at the corner of my mouth, my eyes filled with the madness of revenge. Jianbing, you need to get up early tomorrow. Stop messing around. Don't call me Jianbing. Call me darling husband. Qiao Yifan, you have caused me so much harm, so I'll first collect some interest from your mother. That night, I vented all my resentment and anger on Qiao Yifan's mother. The next day, I was woken up by Lu Mei shaking me. Honey, it's time to get up. We have a meeting today. I opened my eyes drowsily, and what came into view was an absolutely beautiful face, with rosy cheeks and a vibrant spirit. Her words were filled with tenderness, gentle as flowing water. From Chao Jinban's memory, this old scoundrel spent his time either on business or with his secretary, and hadn't lived as husband and wife with Lu Mei for several years. Last night was like sweet rain after a long drought for Lu Mei, bringing her a delightful surprise. Hearing the word meeting, I yawned and instinctively thought about getting up to go to the office. But then I realized I'm not Chao Jinbang himself, so why would I attend any damn meeting? Chao Jinbang has already built the company to be worth billions, and now all of this is mine, something I never dared to dream of before. In my previous life, I lived like a dog. Now in this life, I have so much money. Wouldn't it be nice to just take it easy and enjoy it? Besides, I still need to deal with that despicable couple Chao Yifan and Zhao Qilan. Where would I find time for other matters? So without another word, I embraced Lu Mei and told her sweet lies. Honey, all these years I've poured all my energy into the company, but neglected our home and neglected you. So I've decided to take a good rest and devote all my attention to you. Upon hearing this, Lu Mei trembled, looking at me in disbelief with tears welling up in her eyes. Darling, do you really mean it? Although Lu Mei has lived a life of luxury these years, wanting for nothing materially, she has been lonely both mentally and physically. This promise from me was an incredible surprise for her. However, she still couldn't quite believe it was real until I called my assistant and postponed all meetings. Only then did Lu Mei believe it. In her excitement, she pulled out all the stops and rewarded me generously. I must say, Xiao Chao, you have a good mother. Because of Lu Mei, breakfast was definitely off the table. We didn't get up until 2 in the afternoon, and then Lu Mei started preparing lunch. Just the two of us. And Chao Yifan, that unfilial son, wasn't home. This second-generation rich kid gets hundreds of thousands in pocket money every month, often spending his time in revelry outside, and frequently stays out all night, living quite a carefree life. So without hesitation, the first thing I did was cancel all his bank cards, not giving him a penny to spend. Soon after, Chao Yifan called me, his voice full of anxiety over the phone. Dad, why is my bank card frozen? Please help me unfreeze it quickly. I just finished dinner with my girlfriend, spent 20,000 yuan, and they won't let me leave because I can't pay the bill. Hearing this mortal enemy call me Dad, I felt a vengeful satisfaction filling my heart. With a cold laugh, I said, What are you shouting about? I'm the one who froze your bank card. There was a pause of over 10 seconds on the phone. The next moment, Chao Yifan completely broke down, asking in disbelief, No way, Dad. Why would you do this? Taking on the full authority of a father, I berated Chao Yifan. You ungrateful bastard. You dare ask why? Don't you know perfectly well what you've done wrong? I won't unfreeze your card. As for paying the bill, figure it out yourself. If worst comes to worst, you can sell a kidney on the black market. Should fetch you tens of thousands. With that, I mercilessly hung up the phone. Just thinking about Chao Yifan breaking down on the phone, I felt incredibly satisfied. You scumbag, you've finally fallen into my hands. We have a long way to go, and I'll make your life miserable from now on. My dear son, your father has prepared many special treats for you. Lu Mei doted excessively on her only son, almost always granting his every request. To prevent her from sabotaging my revenge plan, I took preemptive measures to prepare her. So they said everything was for the good of the family, and as the family successor, Afan must be properly trained, otherwise letting him continue to mess around would only harm him. As the head of this family, and under my persuasion, Lu Mei agreed to my approach without hesitation. About 3 hours later, Chao Yifan, who hadn't been home for over a week, finally returned in a hurry. Dad, what's gotten into you? Am I still your son? Why did you suddenly cancel my card for no reason? In the end, my girlfriend had to pay for this meal. Do you know how embarrassing that was for me? He kept rambling on and on, complaining about this and that. Without saying a word, I stood up and slapped him hard across the face. Slap! The sound was crisp and loud. Don't mention it. This is a gift from your father. Ah! Chao Yifan screamed in pain, nearly falling to the ground from that slap. The slap was heavy. A red mark quickly appeared on his face, which started to swell, and his nose began bleeding profusely. Not satisfied, I gave him another kick to the stomach. Chao Yifan was knocked to the ground, curling up like a cooked shrimp, crying out in agony with continuous wails. Chao Yifan curled up tightly, his face full of pain and disbelief, asking hoarsely with a tearful voice, Dad, why? No reason. Can't I hit you just because I don't like your face? I'm your father. If I tell you to eat shit, you have to eat it. Chao Yifan didn't expect me to be so harsh and was stunned. Even Lu Mei froze in place, unable to imagine that I would be so severe with our son. Seeing her son's pitiful state with blood streaming from his nose, Lu Mei's eyes were brimming with tears of distress, and she hurriedly tried to go help him up. Don't touch him. Let him get up on his own. This little brat is clearly putting on an act to gain sympathy. Don't worry, he won't die. I stopped Lu Mei, my tone extremely cold. Lu Mei wanted to plead on his behalf, but seeing my unyielding expression, she opened her mouth and then gave up. Remembering what I had told her earlier, Lu Mei bit her lip and decided not to interfere. When I discipline my son, it's certainly for his own good. She shouldn't coddle him anymore and waste her husband's good intentions. I looked down at Xiao Yifan from above, observing his pained expression, feeling greatly satisfied. Xiao Yifan. Oh, Xiao Yifan, you could never have imagined that the one hitting you wasn't your father, but Li Hai, who was killed by you and Zhao Qilan's collaboration. But do you think just this one slap and kick is enough? No, this is far from enough. I'll make your life worse than death, and that poisonous woman, Zhao Qilan, too. Neither of you will get away with this. Get up. I'll count to 10, and if you're still lying there after 10, I'll give you another kick. Xiao Yifan endured the pain and struggled tremblingly to his feet. Without another word, I went up and slapped him hard on his left cheek again. Xiao Yifan covered his face and looked up at me, his heart full of grievance, and he burst into tears. Dad, I got up. Why did you hit me again? I looked completely innocent. I didn't kick you. I just used my hand this time. Xiao Yifan fell straight into depression. He finally understood that his father was determined to teach him a lesson today, and nothing he could do would make any difference. What could he do? Nothing at all. A father disciplining his son was perfectly justified, especially when the son was as useless as him. Good for nothing except living off his parents. He might as well just endure it. His father would stop when he got tired of hitting him. He could only comfort himself with these thoughts. I looked down at him, pretending to be disappointed, and angrily said, What? Are you trying to use silence to defy me? I've been too busy with work before, and have been too lax in disciplining you, letting you do whatever you want. I never expected you to become more and more outrageous. If this continues, sooner or later you'll either die tragically on the streets or end up in jail, bringing shame to your mother and me. Today, I must teach you a lesson you won't forget. After saying that, without another word, I pulled out my belt and struck him with it. The clothes on Xiao Yifan's body were torn to shreds by me, leaving his skin lacerated and flesh exposed. Only screams as horrific as pig slaughter remained in the living room. Father, I was wrong. I was wrong. Xiao Yifan cried out in anguish, pleading continuously. If it were his real father, he might have softened, but I would not. Your suffering brings me satisfaction. This is karma's justice. Did you think about consequences when you hurt my family? Lu Mei, seeing I was serious, became alarmed and tried to protect Xiao Yifan, pleading on his behalf. But I was already angered, and as I wasn't Lu Mei's real husband, why would I heed her pleas? I pulled Lu Mei aside firmly and continued administering punishment to Xiao Yifan. The sounds echoed clearly. Tell me, have you truly realized your mistake? Father, I was wrong. I truly was wrong. I shouldn't have interfered with others' families, shouldn't have threatened people, shouldn't have. Under immense fear, Xiao Yifan thought I already knew about the things he had done. His psychological defenses crumbled, and he blurted out all the despicable acts he had committed. Seducing married women, taking advantage of widows, threatening female teachers, breaking a college student's leg, and then eating the victim's entire family. Although I had anticipated something, I really didn't expect that this bastard had become so inhumane to the core, having done so many atrocious things. Even Lu Mei looked incredulous. In her understanding, her son was a bit of a playboy and unproductive, but still fundamentally kind-hearted. She never imagined that he had done so many terrible things behind her back, even committing crimes. This left her utterly disappointed, almost fainting from shock. Wife, go to the kitchen and get a knife. Today, I must flay this beast alive. Dad, don't hurt me, listen to me. Please listen to me. It's true that I stole someone else's wife, but she seduced me first. I was young. How could I resist? The same goes for that widow. She saw that I was rich and handsome, and she made the first move. As for breaking that person's leg, it wasn't intentional. I wanted to pay compensation, but their family demanded an outrageous amount. Trying to scam me, Xiao Yifan kept trying to justify his actions, continuously emphasizing that he was the real victim. I laughed bitterly and then asked, besides these things, is there anything else? Upon hearing this, Xiao Yifan trembled in fear, his face filled with terror. Lu Mei was even more frightened. Her face turned pale, and she staggered backward into my arms. She stared intently at Chow Yifan, both wanting to hear his answer and dreading what that terrible answer might be. Chow Yifan trembled all over, his face turning pale. He quickly shook his head and explained in a panicked tone, "Dad, how is that possible? No matter how much of a scoundrel or spoiled brat I am, how could I possibly commit murder? That's a crime. I could go to jail." He would never admit to the incident where he conspired with Zhao Qilan to take my life, as it had crossed the line. Besides, he had taken care of everything. Even if the police came, they would only conclude it was a drunken fall from the building, leaving no traces to investigate. I laughed coldly inside, thinking, the only way to keep something secret is not to do it in the first place. You probably never expected the victim to be standing right in front of you. After giving him another dozen or so lashes with the belt, I warned him, "Go kneel outside. It's 6 o'clock now, and you're not allowed to get up until 12. There are security cameras outside, and if I catch you secretly standing up, I'll beat you within an inch of your life." Chow Yifan trembled all over at my words. He looked up at Lu Mei, hoping his mother would plead for him. But what greeted him was, "Your father is the head of this household. Listen to your father." I said coldly, "What are you waiting for? Why are you just standing there?" I pretended I was going to hit him again. Chow Yifan jumped in fright and, dragging his battered body, ran out grimacing in pain, then obediently knelt down in the courtyard. My son is still quite obedient. In the room, Lu Mei began to cry. "Husband, why has our fan become like this?" "Why?" I said furiously. "That's because Chow Yifan is a bastard born bad. He should never have been born." Lu Mei was startled by my words and said with a trembling voice, "Husband, what are you saying? What are you planning to do?" I glanced at her and said, "This brat, I no longer have much hope for him. If this continues, he'll be done for sooner or later. He's able to misbehave only because he has endless pocket money and the status of being the company heir. So I've decided that from now on, I won't give him a penny, and I'm going to sell the company and declare bankruptcy." Lu Mei looked at me in disbelief, gripping my shoulders tightly, and said, "Honey, are you serious? This company is the fruit of your hard work and sweat. It's the fruit of Chow Jinbang's hard work, not mine, Lihai's. Since we have so much money already, why hold on to the company? Isn't it better to sell the company and enjoy life with hundreds of millions? Besides, selling the company has another advantage. Chow Yifan was originally the first heir to the company. If he learns that the company has gone bankrupt, he'll probably be devastated." I gently held Lu Mei's hand. "For your sake, what does the company matter? Besides, didn't I say? From now on, all focus will be on this family. Nothing else matters." Lu Mei was deeply moved and voluntarily embraced me. With warm comfort between us, thoughts of making things right filled my mind. "Dear, this situation is already settled. I've decided to work hard and start fresh so we can build something new together as husband and wife and help shape a better future." Chow Jinbang was in his prime years, and Lu Mei was also well-maintained and still young, fully capable of starting anew. This would help shift Lu Mei's focus away from Chow Yifan, while also serving as a lesson to him. Hearing my words, Lu Mei blushed and shyly nodded, ready for our new beginning. While Lu Mei and I stayed inside, discussing our future, Chow Yifan remained kneeling alone in the courtyard. His health was deteriorated from his lifestyle choices, and combined with his injuries, he could barely maintain kneeling on the stone slabs. He had been pampered since childhood. When had he ever experienced such a beating, such treatment? Feeling wronged, he burst into loud sobs. He wanted to slack off for a while, but seeing the surveillance camera on the wall, he gave up the idea and obediently accepted his punishment. He thought I would watch him through the surveillance, but little did he know that I was practicing trumpet with his mother and had no time for that at all. I wonder if he would be so angry that he'd spit blood when he learns the truth. Around 9 o'clock, Chow Yifan, exhausted, hungry, and in pain, finally couldn't hold on anymore. And fainted. Because I practiced trumpet with Lu Mei for too long, I fell asleep and forgot that the poor kid was still kneeling outside. So Chow Yifan spent the whole night alone outside. His mother only discovered him when she opened the door in the morning. By then, he was curled up on the ground, shivering, with a high fever, a truly pitiful sight. After all, he's my dear son. Since I'll need to continue tormenting him in the future, I naturally can't let him die like this. So of course he needs treatment. I just dropped him in the hospital and left. Of course, before leaving, I had to add some salt to the wound. Dating a widowed girlfriend, treating a vat of stinky tofu like treasure. See how unlucky that is. Maybe without her you wouldn't have gotten this beating. I was telling the truth. Without Zhao Lan, he indeed wouldn't have been beaten by me. Chow Yifan took it seriously. "Dad, you're right. I'll deal with her when I get back." About a week later, The company was acquired by a leading enterprise. After my forceful negotiations, it sold for over 10 billion. With such a huge sum of money, we couldn't spend it all even if we lived extravagantly for 10 lifetimes. After discussing with Lu Mei, we sold the villa within a few days, and even hired several tough-looking men to put on quite a show of debt collection. When Qiao Yifan returned home from the hospital, what he saw was a scene of more than 10 burly men forcefully evicting us from the villa. Get out of here right now. Disappear immediately. This villa no longer belongs to you. What are you standing there for? Get out. I lowered my head dejectedly, looking like a defeated person, while Lu Mei tightly held onto my arm, occasionally wiping tears from her face. The luxurious clothes we used to wear had been replaced by simple sportswear, clearly cheap market goods at a glance. Qiao Yifan, seeing this scene, was completely stunned. Dad, Mom, what's going on? Who are these people? I said all the prepared lines I had rehearsed. Upon learning that my company had gone bankrupt and was insolvent, Qiao Yifan was struck as if by a bolt from the blue, his legs going weak. Impossible. This can't be possible. Dad, Mom, you're joking, right? The company was fine just a few days ago. How could it be bankrupt today? I don't believe it. I don't believe it. How could a privileged rich kid, stripped of his status and reduced to an ordinary person, accept this? The company was already failing. I was barely keeping it afloat, and even mortgaged the villa. Otherwise, why do you think the bank card was frozen? At this moment, the burly man next to them approached menacingly and cursed loudly. Didn't I tell you to get lost? Do you want us to escort you out? Qiao Yifan was completely devastated, almost losing his mind. This is my house. None of you can make us leave. In his mind, he still thought he was that spoiled rich kid who could do whatever he wanted and make unreasonable demands. The burly man, after receiving my signal, slapped Qiao Yifan hard across the face without hesitation. Under these consecutive blows, Qiao Yifan fainted again. My dear son's physical condition is poor. It seems he'll need more training in the future. When Qiao Yifan woke up, he was in a rundown rental apartment. He had been holding on to a bit of hope before, but now he was finally in complete despair. Lu Mei looked at him with pain in her heart, feeling somewhat guilty. After all of this was fake. I walked straight up to him and slapped him hard across the face, saying angrily, "You're a grown man in your 20s. What are you crying for? Don't you have any ambition?" Qiao Yifan was stunned by the slap, looking at me with tearful eyes. Suddenly, as if remembering something, he quickly grabbed my hand and said, "Dad, you're so capable. You built your business from nothing before, so you can definitely make a comeback now, right? After being a boss for so many years, you must have some money stashed away. Could you?" The more I listened, the more I frowned. "You want my money? Keep dreaming." Lu Mei was also extremely disappointed in her son. "This apartment is rented for you by me, and I've only paid 2 months' rent. I've also left you 500 yuan for living expenses. You're an adult now, so from now on, you'll have to rely on yourself. Your mother and I are still young and have some strength left. We're planning to find work in another city. If you miss us, just give us a call." Qiao Yifan was devastated. We ignored him and left directly, letting him cry hoarsely. For Lu Mei, this was for her son's transformation. For me, it was just revenge. After leaving the rented apartment, Lu Mei and I went to a luxurious villa in the suburbs to start enjoying life. Meanwhile, my dear son Qiao Yifan naturally had to continue living in dire straits. Oh no, I mean training. That rented room had mosquitoes every night, biting him all over. It was also old and not soundproof, with a young couple living next door, making it impossible for him to sleep soundly. Once, he went directly to argue with them, but unexpectedly got beaten up. Being physically weak, how could he be a match for them? He was lucky not to have been beaten to death. Unable to bear such a life, he went to find his old buddies he used to hang out with. "Well, isn't this the young Master Qiao? How come you've turned into a dog? Your company has gone bankrupt, your family assets have all been sold off, and you still think you're a high and mighty young master? Go eat shit. Come on, aren't you very hungry? If you eat the spit I spat on the ground, I'll treat you to a steak." His previous friends were all drinking buddies. How could any of them have treated him sincerely? In the end, he was humiliated repeatedly and trampled harshly to the ground. Und there could be no greater fall from heaven to hell than this. Qiao Yifan truly broke down. However, there was one woman who remained loyal to him through it all, and that was Zhao Qilan. In fact, Zhao Qilan was also a complete gold digger. After hearing that Qiao Yifan had become a bottom feeder, she also wanted to cut ties with him. But how could I possibly let her off the hook? I had to tie her to Qiao Yifan. That day, I sought out Zhao Qilan. "Are you the woman my son has chosen? You're a second-hand goods who lost her husband. But it doesn't matter. To be honest with you, I didn't go bankrupt. Actually, this was all a test I set up for Affan. If he can survive in this city on his own for 10 years, then I'll take him back and let him inherit my fortune. I know you're the person my dear son loves most, and I also accept you as my daughter-in-law. If you can stay by his side and wait for 10 full years, then I'll personally give you 500 million and allow you to enter our family's door. Of course, this matter can only be known to heaven, earth, you, and me. If you dare let a third person know, not only will Afan's inheritance rights be permanently revoked, but I'll also find someone to kill you. Zhao Qilan, who valued money as life, certainly wouldn't miss this opportunity and immediately agreed. 500 million for 10 years, 50 million per year, worth it. And when Afan inherits the family fortune in the future, as the mistress of the house, she would control billions. This deal is profitable. I really am a clever little fairy. After Zhao Qilan went to find Qiao Yifan, he was deeply moved. With Zhao Qilan's intentions, they quickly obtained their marriage certificate. Because they had no money, they didn't hold a wedding ceremony. After getting married, Qiao Yifan had no ability to make money and wanted to rely on Zhao Qilan to earn money. However, remembering the conditions I had proposed earlier, Zhao Qilan naturally didn't dare to break the rules. In order to become a wealthy wife, Zhao Qilan pressured Qiao Yifan every day to go find a job. Qiao Yifan certainly didn't want to, because he was used to living as a rich second generation. This led to their first conflict, and the two had a big argument. Zhao Qilan was so angry that she left home. Qiao Yifan had no income, and no one was willing to lend him money. After just one day, he was so hungry he couldn't bear it anymore and had to compromise by looking for work. But he had no work experience and only had an associate degree from college. No major company would want him, so he faced rejection and mockery everywhere. Finally, a company was willing to hire him, but Qiao Yifan didn't even last a month before being fired. The reason was that they had never seen such an unambitious, arrogant, narcissistic, and completely incompetent man-child, truly a hopeless case that couldn't be helped. And Zhao Qilan, who had previously always relied on me for support, never found a job, and naturally didn't have much earning ability. The couple's life was unbearably difficult. Qiao Yifan, dissatisfied with life, could only drown his sorrows in alcohol, continuing to play the role of a young master in his dreams, then beating Zhao Qilan when he got drunk. Zhao Qilan was often beaten black and blue. A normal person would have divorced long ago, but thinking of my promise back then, she secretly encouraged herself to persevere until the end. During this time, Qiao Yifan called me countless times, and I finally got so annoyed that I blocked him. I just enjoyed life in this large villa, occasionally traveling with Lu Mei, experiencing the beautiful landscapes of our motherland. With my persistent efforts, Lu Mei successfully became pregnant with our second child. Now her attention is completely focused on this little one, and she has lost interest in her incapable son, Qiao Yifan. So, Qiao Yifan and Zhao Qilan both suffered tremendously in pain and torment. If Qiao Yifan hadn't ruined his health in his youth, leading to infertility, their children would have suffered along with them. Soon, after 10 years had passed, Zhao Qilan told Qiao Yifan the truth. Qiao Yifan first stood dumbfounded, then in disbelief, and finally in wild joy. It turned out their family had never gone bankrupt at all. Everything was just a test from that troublemaker of a father. At the same time, he also understood why Zhao Qilan had stayed loyally by his side despite all those years of him beating her. Keeping my promise, I had someone bring the two of them back to the villa. After Qiao Yifan and Zhao Qilan got out of the car and saw the magnificent villa, they were overwhelmed with excitement. This would be their home from now on, and they would never have to live in hardship again. When I saw the two of them, I could barely recognize them. After suffering from domestic violence for 10 years, Zhao Qilan had become a haggard woman, looking like she was 50, with a sallow and emaciated face and several grotesque scratches on her forehead. As for Qiao Yifan, his hair was a mess, his face was sallow, and he looked weathered like a refugee from Africa. When Lu Mei saw her son, tears burst from her eyes. She had almost forgotten she had such a son. Qiao Yifan burst into tears. "Mom." He wanted to rush over and hug his mother, but the next second, a childish voice came. "Mom, who is this old grandpa?" A good-looking child appeared from somewhere, looking confused at Qiao Yifan, who looked even older than his mother. Qiao Yifan froze, his face full of disbelief. "Mom? He called you Mom?" Lu Mei smiled, affectionately hugging her younger son. I walked out of the house and delivered a shocking revelation to my eldest son. "This is the younger child that your mother and I had. He's your biological brother, named Qiao Guangyao." Qiao Yifan was completely stunned. His parents had given birth to a younger brother for him without even telling him. Doesn't this mean that half of the family's assets would have to be divided in the future? Zhao Qilan walked over excitedly and said, Mr. Chao, I completed the task as agreed. Does that mean I? She was already eager to receive the 500 million and leave Chao Yifan to live her own life. The corners of my mouth turned up slightly, but I didn't say anything. At that moment, sirens blared, and several police officers rushed into the villa, immediately apprehending Chao Yifan and Zhao Qilan. Chao Yifan and Zhao Qilan were terrified. Officers, what are you doing? We haven't done anything illegal, one of the police officers said sternly. 10 years ago, you two conspired to murder Li Hai. Now we have conclusive evidence, and you're under arrest according to the law. Chao Yifan and Zhao Qilan's legs went weak with fear. They never expected their crimes would be exposed. After enduring for 10 years, they were finally about to live a life of luxury and ease the frustrations of the past decade. Why did the police have to come arrest them at this moment? Dad, save me. Please save me. Now, he's desperately clinging to me as his last lifeline. Son, your father is a law-abiding citizen. As a real man, if you've committed a crime, you must face the consequences. We still have your younger brother to inherit the family business. So go peacefully and don't worry about your mother and me. I smiled slightly. I was the one who reported them to the police, and I provided the evidence. Save them? What a joke. It turns out that when they killed me, a neighbor who had been coveting Zhao Qilan witnessed the entire scene and even recorded a video. After I found this person, it was easy to obtain the video with money. Moreover, I had installed surveillance at the place where Chao Yifan and Zhao Qilan lived. During these 10 years, their life wasn't smooth, and in their heated arguments, they had mentioned killing me. All of this is evidence. What I wanted was to let Chao Yifan and Zhao Qilan fall into despair right when they were full of hope. When Chao Yifan and Zhao Qilan were being taken away, I stopped the police, saying I wanted to have a private word with my son and daughter-in-law. Chao Yifan kept begging me, Dad, save me. I'm your son. I smiled slightly, revealing a cold smile, and said softly, Chao Yifan, Zhao Qilan, actually, I am Li Hai. A devastating revelation. These words were like a nuclear explosion in their hearts. Thinking back to everything they had experienced, they finally understood. It was you. It was you all along. How vicious of you. You wouldn't even give us a quick end to your revenge. Mom, he's not my dad. He's Li Hai. He's Li Hai. He's not my dad. Officer, he's not Chao Jianbang. He's my ex-husband Li Hai. Chao Jianbang is Li Hai. However, no one believed these words, thinking the two had been shocked and had mental problems. Not long after, Chao Yifan and Zhao Qilan were sentenced to death. As for me, I replaced Chao